Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of React Roundup. I am your host today, TJ Van Tol, along with my co-host, Paige Niedringhaus.
Hey, everyone.
And Jack Harrington.
Hey there. How you doing?
Yeah, so today we're going to do a panelist episode, and this should be a fun one because at least when we're recording this, it is newly 2023. We're into a new year.
Freshly minted.
As I think is a common tradition, we wanted to take this episode to talk about some predictions, some hot takes, what we think. We definitely won't replay this episode. We're just going to leave these hot takes here.
Yeah, that's it.
Just going to assume we're completely correct and roll with it. But let's just dive right into it. And Jack, you volunteered. You've got our first hot take. So you wanna open us up?
Sure. I'm going to go geeky on my first hot take. And I'm going to say that 2023 is all about hydration. And I don't mean that from a fluid standpoint. I mean that from, which is important, by the way. Very important. Stay hydrated. But if you look at like Next.js 13, you look at Astro, all of the frameworks are trying to address the issue of hydration, where I think a lot of folks don't even know that this happens. Like you make an SSR server and you run your application twice. You run it on once on the server and then you run it again on the client. People are like, oh, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. No, that happens like every time. Like, and try to teach people about it. And they're no. But no, it's for realsies. And trying to figure out how to, and the problem there, right, is that when you run on the client, there's a lot of time, depending on the speed of your client and all that, to get to interactive. And so if you're running like an e-commerce site, that's not great. Because like, you really want people to be able to just click that buy button, like right away, boom, 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 right? And so this gets in that way, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. So you got like React server components on Next.js 13. You've got Astro trying to like do this islands architecture. I think this is the year that we really kind of focus on.
Hey folks, this is Charles Maxwood. I've been talking to a whole bunch of people that want to update their resume and find a better job. And I figure, well, why not just share my resume? So if you go to topenddevs.com/resume, enter your name and email address, then you'll get a copy of the resume that I use, that I've used through freelancing, through most of my career, as I've kind of refined it and tweaked it to get me the jobs that I want. Like I said, topenddevs.com/resume will get you that. And you can just kind of use the formatting. It comes in Word and Pages formats, and you can just fill it in from there.
Yeah, you just have to look back into our last few episodes, right?
Yeah.
Or the last episodes of last year, because I feel like this comes up anytime we talk to somebody working on modern framework. This comes up as their features or one of the things they're focusing on. Like you said, the React team itself with React server components is kind of getting into this game as well. But I think what we don't have quite yet is a winner, right? Like it's sort of in that phase where everybody's just sort of experimenting and we don't know what the thing that we're going to consolidate on and the best option is. It's kind of in a phase now where the early experimenters are trying to sort of figure this out. So it's a good prediction because we don't know where the winds are going to go.
And kind of adding on to that prediction, I think this year we're going to continue to see React be the dominant framework, whether that is using Next.js, whether it's using Gatsby, whether it's using something else. But I think it's going to continue to be the biggest dog in the room. But I think that Svelte is also going to continue to gain popularity. It seems like I have been hearing nonstop about Svelte and developers jumping on that bandwagon. So if I was to hazard a guess, I would say that would probably be another good framework to at least check out and try to build something with, just to say that you have. Because I have a feeling that more and more employers are going to start looking at that as a viable alternative. I think it's gotten to the point where with SvelteKit 1.0 being out, it's finally starting to reach that critical mass where people are probably willing to take a chance on it and put it into production in a bigger way. So I think that's going to be something that we see a lot more of this year.
Yeah, I think that's like the key next step is because I feel like Svelte, and the other one that I had on my list was Solid, which I feel like doesn't have quite the momentum as Svelte, but is kind of in that same, I'd almost throw it in the same bucket as like trying to rise up to become the next sort of React. But it's can it break through into like you said, like your big company ecosystem? Because right now I feel like if you're building an enterprise app today, you're still picking probably React, maybe Angular, maybe Vue. And I don't think Svelte is quite in that conversation yet, which is weird because framework wise, I almost feel like, I mean, we've both used it, Paige, and I like when I tried it out, I actually preferred it over React. But then at the same time, when that app was done, I kind of was like, guess going back to my day-to-day
with that.
reaction.
I got into and out of Svelte so many times. And every time I get into it, I'm like, dang, this is really, why don't I use this more? And then it's like, back to Mama, back to React. And you're like, why? I don't understand. But I got to say, I tried out SvelteKit like a week ago, and it was around like, they have this forms interface. Essentially, you can have a form, it automatically, just like old school, it posts to the server. And then you can just literally put like an extra little tag on it and say, hey, this is going to be client side. And then boom, it's so cool. Isn't it, Paige? I mean, it's crazy cool. And I'm just like, wow, I wish I could use it. I mean, like React just doesn't have that. And yeah. And then it comes back to hydration, which is, it's a lot easier to rehydrate an app that's 20K, which is what your SvelteKit, your Svelte app's going to be, versus a meg. On the client, right? And so, that's what's solid, and that's what Svelte get you. It's like crazy efficient, client code and also server code.
Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the things, back to what TJ was saying about we use it, but then we, walk away and go back into a Next.js application. It's, for me, getting to figure out how Svelte works was not the easiest thing. Like pulling through the documentation and trying to figure out how to ask the right question was always more of a problem for me. So I guess maybe I'm just more familiar with the way that React thinks about things, approaches things, and I was able to better find the answers that I needed quickly. And with Svelte, it wasn't as clear. But like you said, as Svelte continues to grow and gain popularity, there will be more Stack Overflow posts. There will be more just general tutorials that go beyond the basics. There will be more of those really specific use cases that we seem to run into, and showing you how different people overcame them. So I think that's a big thing that's going to help push it forward, is just more and more people trying to do really specific things, which is what we always end up doing as developers. It's not the out of the box functionality. It's always the really special little use cases and edge cases that we have to deal with that people haven't usually addressed early on in a framework's life cycle.
Yeah, more fodder for the AI machine, right? More examples for ChatGPT and Copilot and Codex to nom through, which brings us to AI.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was going to be it. I think we were going to get there eventually, but that was the top of my list.
All roads lead to Rome.
I feel like, Rome's an overloaded term in the JavaScript world too. I had that on my list too, but AI, I think like you can't avoid it nowadays in really, I was going to say the JavaScript world, but we can make that broader and just say the development world or the world.
The world.
I guess in general, but I don't see how AI won't play a bigger role in our lives, especially just from a development perspective moving on. Because I feel like this year we got a taste of Copilot. When did Copilot launch to the public? I feel like it was kind of early 2022. Am I remembering that right?
It feels like it's been longer.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to remember when it went from public beta to pay. Yeah. Right. And I think that was, I think it came out actually in 2021, but maybe that was just the free beta test. And then 2022, they announced the new pricing rollout.
It looks like the general availability to developers was June 20. Oh, hold on. Now I'm confusing myself. June 2021 was when it was a beta. And then earlier, and then the middle of 2022 is when it became like a paid product sort of thing that they're offering.
Mm-hmm.
So
an exciting life it's had.
Yeah.
In a mere year and a half.
So I think that was like our first taste as developers into the world of AI. But it's interesting that even Copilot as a tool has evolved, but now it's starting to, with ChatGPT and these other tools out there, getting some competition in terms of what's available. And I'm curious what you two think, like how will it actually affect like our day-to-day jobs?
Give us a question you really want to see. Will it take our jobs?
Right. Will machines finally take our jobs?
Will machine take our jobs? Exactly. I don't know, Paige.
I mean, I haven't played too much with ChatGPT. I've read some articles about it. I've looked at it. I've kind of poked at it, but I haven't done too much with it. I would say that it's not going to take our jobs because that's what everybody always worries about in the first half. I think what it's going to do is kind of what frameworks and higher level languages have done for coding in general. You know, we went from having punch cards and having to figure out simple calculations with computers to having frameworks and languages like JavaScript, like Python, that made it less close to the metal, abstracted away some of the really hard stuff, pointers and null exceptions and memory usage and things like that we didn't have to think about anymore. And I have a feeling that AI is going to take a similar approach. I think it will continue to do the stuff that we don't really want to think about so that we can actually get to the point of building the things that we want, whether it's web applications or e-commerce or VR. You know, I think it'll just take care of the things that we don't really care about doing anyway, so that we can do the interesting, fun, deep work that we like to do, which is when you get in the flow and you're just, you know, clicking things together and it's working. So I don't think that we're quite to the point yet where computers are going to take over and write our code for us. I think it'll just continue to help us and make our jobs easier and make it so that we can do even cooler things and build even more complex applications that can do more, you know, going forward. I like to be optimistic about that anyway.
No, it's I don't think it's coming for our jobs either, because I think where AI really shines is when there are clear inputs and outputs. And so much of our job is very much in the nuance. And so I think it's going to be a while before those tools can approach what your average developer can actually perform. The biggest thing I'm finding is that increasingly ChatGPT is becoming an alternative to Google for me, in a sense, because normally your workflow for like 20 years now has been, if I have a problem, I go to Google and then I start sifting through Stack Overflow posts and more recently GitHub issues, right? And you're wading through all this stuff, trying to interpret the different responses. I find that ChatGPT is just better at that. Like it sort of intelligently has already combed through all of that for me. And it's not perfect. Sometimes it gets it wrong. But I've been shocked at how often it gives me the right answer right away, right? And I have something I can immediately use. And it just is, so in a way, it's for me, it's just like an efficiency thing. It's the same sort of thing with Copilot. It's like typing something right in my editor, it saves me from going out and having to interpret 15 different Stack Overflow posts and try to find the one I need. It just gives me an answer that's more often than not like better than I expected and might even literally be exactly what I need.
So I asked ChatGPT, will you take my job? And ChatGPT said no. It said that the interesting parts of software engineering, you know, are the, you know, or the novel parts that essentially it can't replace with things like, you know, debugging, working on, you know, or designing features, understanding complex systems. It just can't do that. And that's the way I like to think about these things, is just think at a practical level. Like, hey, today we replaced Sally Smith and Joe Schmo with AI coders. Like, what do they do? Like, how can they debug an existing bug? No, they can't. They can't understand the existing code base. They can't talk to product managers to work through. Like, I mean, there's this great meme, and it's got like a one panel that shows like what we tell an artist. And it's like a very, you know, I want something that feels like this and has, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then what do we tell an AI? And it's like very precise. You know, we want a, you know, princess with ruby rings, blah, 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 right? Very concise, very, you know, exact. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I got literal Jira bugs on the product I'm working on that only have a title. Right. There's just a title. There's no description. There's no comments. There's no nothing. It's literally just add this, you know, kind of thing. And it's just me talking to the PM. And it's like, okay, I know what it is. And she knows what it is. And there you go. That's all you need. How's an AI going to hide her hair of that? Like, it's impossible. And so, yeah, I don't see it replacing senior engineers for sure. And I definitely see it. I see junior engineering still being a real job, because that's what I think people need to understand why we hire junior engineers, which is effectively open up space for senior engineers to do more other stuff and to get those folks trained up on the team to be productive members of, eventually grow into senior engineers. So like all of the stuff that we expect a junior engineer to do, like maybe 10% of that can be done by an AI. So no, there's still going to be senior engineer jobs. There's still be junior engineer jobs. There'll be all kinds of jobs. It'll just be easier.
Yeah, I see it like it's just like a new tool that we're going to have available. And so like anything else, it's probably a tool you want to start playing with in very much the sense that like being a good Googler is an important developer skill, like knowing how to find information you're looking for. I feel like using these AI tools is going to be the same sort of thing. Like it's a super powerful tool at our disposal, and you're going to want to know how to use them because that's just going to be a part of our lives moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, TJ. Get your hands dirty, try it out, know how to use it, but also know the other skills, all the other skills that come with being a developer, and be comfortable getting into those and learning them.
I'll say though, from like a design perspective, that could be far more interesting because I've like playing with some of these image tools. It's amazing how often, because you can run them multiple times, it's amazing how often you can get like, say, an icon that you need and just describe exactly the icon you want. It'll spit out 20 of them. It might spit out one that is exactly what you need for your app. It's not perfect yet. But it has, there are far more clear like input output for that sort of thing than there is with development. So it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out.
And if you flip it on its head from fear into opportunity, I think it actually, there's so much. I showed you guys like Midjourney, which is this Discord server where you can literally just go in there and start typing in. You just give it a prompt, and it gives you some icons or whatever. Right? It's great. I mean, I took Imagine, which is this Python stable diffusion 2 app, or a command line, and just wrapped it in a Discord bot. And, it was an hour's worth of work. And I had something that was 90% of Midjourney, and Midjourney's making a lot of money. Like they actually charge for that. Like they give you a bunch of freebies, and then they as you do, you charge. And so, there's a lot of opportunity out there for developers to go in and say, wow, cool, we can go and capitalize on this. Like I could really easily see making an app that you take a picture of your dog and it gives you lots of funny dog pictures for like $5.
Oh, I think
that's money.
Hey, have you heard about our book club? I keep hearing from people who have heard about the book club. I'd love to see you there. This month we are talking about Docker Deep Dive. That's the book we're reading. It's by Nigel Poulsen. And we're going to be talking about all things Docker, just how it works, how to set it up on your machine, how to go about taking advantage of all the things it offers, and using it as a dev tool to make sure that what you're running in production mirrors what you're running on your machine. And it's just one of those tools a lot of people use. Really looking forward to diving into it. That's February and March. April and May, we're going to be doing the Pragmatic Programmer. And we're going to be talking about all of the kinds of things that you should be doing in order to further your career according to that book. Now, of course, I have my own methodology for these kinds of things, but we're going to be able to dovetail a lot of them because a lot of the ideas really mesh really nicely. So if you're looking for ways to advance your career, you're looking to learn some skills that are going to get you ahead in your career, then definitely come join the book club. You can sign up at topenddevs.com/book club.
I think like I love turning it on instead of a fear, looking at it as an opportunity, because it's such an under leveraged thing. Like there's, I've used Lensa. It was my pick on the previous episode to generate avatar images. That's just some developer was smart enough to say like, hey, what if we took pictures of someone's face and just like threw them into one of these AI tools? They didn't invent they're leveraging some other AI tool, but they're charging for it on top of it. I gave them money. Lots of other people gave them money, right? There's so many other app ideas, business ideas, right? Like think of all the, there's other than Copilot, there's very little or maybe no developer tooling right now. But imagine if you had a VS Code extension that could generate icon sets with AI, or could generate like beginning library, right? There's just a lot that you could potentially do with this. And so I think it's our prediction for 2023.
Yeah. I think, TJ, that Amazon is working on an AI assistant.
Oh, that's right.
And I can't remember what the name of it is, but I think that might be one of the only competitors to Copilot at this point. And we like you said, we can't even remember what it's called. So
right. So Copilot is Codex, which is OpenAI, but in this case, I think it's exclusively licensed from Microsoft. So that's that. I think Google is they've also got a coding AI. Maybe it's released, maybe it's not, but I've definitely heard of it. So now, maybe this.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I looked at it is Amazon Code Whisperer. So you can build applications faster with the ML-powered coding companion.
Yes. Well, we'll see if Amazon Whisper starts to gain ground this year, I guess. All right. So let me ask you two, what do you think is the next framework that is going to be either open source funded or VC backed or acquired by a company? You know, Shopify bought Remix, Netlify and React and Next.js are pretty much one and the same now. So who's going to be the next one that either gets acquired or gets venture capital funding?
Oh man, who's left? Because the Rich Harris behind Svelte, right? He now works for Vercel, which is kind of like acquiring in a sense. He's at least on their payroll. And what about Ryan?
Don't scoop me. I was going to say Solid Start.
But what is he doing nowadays?
I think he's still he's not. He hasn't scooped yet.
Okay, then I think that's a pretty good pick.
I think Solid Start. They've been talking in the Solid world for a while about how that's what you really need is you need a framework, right? It's not enough to have the Vue library. You have to have all of it. You got to have routing, you got to have SSR, you got to have SSG, you got to have all that stuff, right? And I think so. Now that's Solid Start for Solid. Wow.
Maybe Astro might get acquired by somebody.
Okay. I thought they were a company. I don't know.
They might have been.
I do think it's funny that so many of these things have been acquired that we're trying to remember, which these frameworks have yet to be scooped up.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, there just aren't that. I mean, everybody complains. There's so many JavaScript frameworks about every week, but they don't. And I should know. I get random people saying, "Hey, I made this JavaScript framework. You want to go check it out? Blah 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 blah. You want to go make a video on it?" And I'm like, okay, sure. And then I go on to the NPM stuff, and it's like 30 weekly downloads or whatever. And you're like, okay, it looks good, man. Get a few more people.
So Ryan Carniato is full-time working OSS at Netlify. So
okay,
there we go.
So I don't know if he still probably owns the rights to it, I would imagine. But
Quick.
Oh yeah, I haven't thought about Quick in a long time.
They kind of come and go, these things. Wow, we've gotten very flash in the panty when it comes to. Because remember Bun? Bun was supposed to take over the universe and everything. And it's my apologies to anybody out there who's a total bunhead, but I don't think it realized on that dreaming currently, but it's still cool. These things just take time.
Yeah.
But I think Quick has again, because of hydration. It's all about hydration.
Do you think that Mastodon is going to overtake Twitter?
No.
Nope.
I wish them the best of luck, but it's the for it to go mainstream, it has to be way more user friendly and easy to get into, because I think it might take off in tech circles just because of
totally.
I could see it becoming a niche that our people like us in our audience could totally start using, but in terms of a social phenomenon like Twitter is, I just don't see it.
What's the itch that Twitter scratches? I'm not
shouting into the void, I guess.
I guess. It's not fun. I mean, I guess to me, a Discord server where you're chatting with folks that have similar interests. I mean, it's very interactive. It's very there. I think that's more interesting than shouting into the void and seeing how many people are like, "Whoa, that's great!"
There's too many voids to shout into now. You have the Facebook void, the Twitter void, Instagram, TikTok, if you're young enough and on that, which I am not and don't care about. LinkedIn void. I mean, you just throw out something and there's people randomly posting and patting themselves on the back and, talking about whatever. And I think we're all just mostly tired of that. Like, I like having conversations with people, but just, there's not a lot of point to it, I don't think.
It's weird because probably, I mean, we talk about like advice for staying up to date on this podcast quite a bit. And one of the top things on my list historically was always get involved with Twitter. And it was because, at least years ago, for me, it was the best place to keep up on news, to actually interact with people in the JavaScript world. And I feel like that's becoming less true, at least for me. Like, I find I get my news more from just a variety of places. Newsletters, probably more commonly nowadays than Twitter. So, I mean, I still use Twitter. I still kind of begrudgingly like using Twitter, but I feel like it's becoming less of a hub for the tech world in general.
It's because it's all just hot take BS, right? That's the thing. Like, if you put out there something obnoxious, you're just going to get a lot of views and a lot of likes and a lot of interaction, right? Love it or hate it, you're going to get a lot of interaction, a good ratio. And that's not conducive to actually saying anything meaningful. That's just, you're going to get what you're going to get, right? That's the reward. I think you're totally right, TJ. Like there are some really good React newsletters out there. Subscribe to those, and they do a good job. And they every once in a while highlight a video of mine, so I'm always happy about that. So,
Yep, they like to shout your videos.
Yeah, you've been hot lately in the newsletters, Jack. Rising star of 2023.
I hit 99,000 subs today.
Oh,
wow.
Nice.
So close. 1,000 away. Oh.
What are the milestones for the special YouTube plaques?
100.
It's 100? Okay.
100 and a million.
Okay. Nice.
Well, you're going to get it this month. No question.
I hope so. Very excited. Yes. Woohoo.
All right. I've got another one. This is kind of the flip side of what Paige asked with acquiring. And I almost wonder if the VC money in the JavaScript world is going to start to dry up, actually, because 2022 was not the greatest year for VC funding and the markets and the economy just sort of in general. And it'll be interesting to me to see whether some of these companies that have taken on money that I'm not still totally sure how they're making money. So I looked up a few of these, right? There's the big ones with like Vercel raised $102 million, which at least they're they have a hosting offering. Yeah. I don't know how they're making back that much money, but at least they have a product and they're pretty well used. Then you have Rome Tools, which raised like $4.5 million. You have Dino, which raised $21 million. And like, there's some other ones too that I'm probably not thinking of, but I'm wondering.
Raised 7.
Which one?
Bun raised 7.
They did. Oh my God. And
7.
For Bun.
Sorry, my bad.
I mean, maybe, but like, I feel like the money spout is got to dry up here because I don't know how these companies like Vercel out of that list, Vercel's the only one that's got like a real thing that's out there and widely used and has some way of making money. The rest of these, like, how is that Dino? Is it Dino?
I think it's Dino.
Yeah.
Has Dino made a cent? Do they have plans for how they're going to make sense? I don't
think so.
I don't make it a cent, but they've got a good product. Dino is actually really, really good. And the Dino Edge stuff is actually pretty cool. I just don't know anybody that's like any big companies that have jumped on the Dino bandwagon and been like, yep, we're a Dino shop now.
No, I hear some of the developers that I listen to on other podcasts talk about it a little bit, but Dino has been really quiet this year in general. I don't know if they're, cooking something up for 2023 and now this is going to be their year to kind of come back into the headlines. But for 2022, it didn't really seem like they were doing much.
They added support for node modules.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're basically becoming another Yarn or another PM or, just another integration package manager. We can work with what already exists. They were trying to break away from that. And now they've realized that they cannot be that on their own if they actually want to get buy-in and usage.
Yeah, so they basically become like a node with the security stuff, essentially.
Well,
which is half the pitch.
The other thing too, like beyond the usefulness of Dino itself, the part that really gets to me is, do they have, like, how are they making any revenue whatsoever, right? Because even if you have a useful tool, I could see Dino starting to challenge Node. I don't think that's wildly implausible, but how are they going to make back millions of dollars on this investment? Because I believe all they sell is hosting. And like, that's so commoditized. I don't know, like, why would you host with them? Like, I just don't get what their actual business plan is.
Yeah, I think for the hosting, like, the nice thing about Versal is that it adds on a lot of stuff. They've got like a lot of like kind of connected bits, right? That make, for monitoring and all that. And so it's a nice experience. I don't know. There's the Dino Edge stuff is like, okay, but Rome, I don't get at all.
Yeah. They're still going, I think.
Yes. It was a
now
thing.
We're going to check on that.
Yeah.
TJ, I agree. I think that the VC funding is going to dry up. I think that some open source software tools that we either use or we heard about are going to disappear quietly. I think that we're going to see a lot of Web3 developers pivoting into different areas like AI.
Yeah.
Crypto is in crypto winter in a big way. Yeah. So I think
who could have seen that coming?
I mean, that it's been going downhill for quite a while, but I think we're going to see a lot of people continue to walk away from NFTs and crypto everything and go find different niches of employment.
Yeah. Crypto.
Yeah.
What to say? It's definitely not. You're totally right. It is on its way out. But I guess maybe I'm going to go in the wrong direction with this, but in terms of like general trends. But I do think that in terms of skill, you should try to acquire in 2023. I think learning CI/CD, learning deployment. There's a whole bunch of new kind of novel deployment methodologies that have come out, and it's boring and it's blah 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 blah. But from a company perspective, from an employability perspective, that's really important for those companies. Get out there, be able to deploy at edge really really fast, and all of that.
Debug your build pipeline and figure out why it won't.
Right, exactly. And I think actually there was the Docker guys. Kind of under the radar, they got some funding for doing a Dockerized version of CI/CD. So it was like specialized to that, and you could, so you could run your CI/CD locally and debug locally, as opposed to like debugging through the CI/CD on GitLab or GitHub or whatever, where you see the never-ending list of PRs. Now I'm trying this. Now I'm trying that. Now I'm trying with with this environment variable. No. You get that all worked out, and then you just you put it on the GitLab or whatever, and it works.
That would be cool. And that would definitely be something that I'm interested in, because I know I've wasted tons of build minutes trying to figure out why a build is not working correctly in GitHub Actions.
Yes, I'm trying to think what the name of that thing was. I'll find it. Put it in the show
notes.
In terms of if we want to keep how there are things to learn in 2023 going, I'll just add on another mention of ChatGPT just to say, if you haven't tried it yet, you really should. And I don't mean like you don't need to try it as in like I'm gonna use it to build an app or anything like that, but just get in and just start talking with it and seeing what it can do, because it's mesmerizing, honestly. And I think
it'll take a lot of the fear out of it too.
Yeah,
it's mesmerizing, but also kind of limited.
Yeah. As you start to push it, you'll see the limits of what it can do as well. And it's interesting though, but you can, I've actually used it more for non-coding related things. Like sometimes, like, how do I intro this email? Sometimes you can ask ChatGPT, and it's pretty good. It's scarily good at things like that too. Or from a DevRel perspective, like coming up with blog intros or titles, little things like that. It's quite good.
So like YouTube titles, and it's just doing a good job on that.
Yeah, it understands patterns. Yeah.
I was hearing that that's already become an issue for teachers who are grading papers. There are already students who have figured out how to get it to write essays for them. So now it's not just plagiarism you have to deal with. It's did an AI do my homework for me?
Yeah, that's funny. I will say, somebody asked, like when I did my video around, I asked ChatGPT if it, was going to take our jobs, and it said it wouldn't. And one of the reasons was because of systems architecture and design. And the person was like, hey, did you ask it a systems design question? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And it actually gave like a classic senior engineer's answer, which was, here's option A, here's option B. It depends. Like, it didn't even, it's like totally equivocating. It's like, I don't know, for your thing. Could do it this way, could do that. No wrong answers.
Well, that's another great reason why it won't end up taking our jobs, is because there are so many ways to get the end result that you want. So you as a developer will know how the rest of your application is built, what frame of mind your team is in that's building it, all these different things that ChatGPT just can't. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do we have any other things to learn in 2023 that we want to recommend?
Well, one thing that I've been seeing a little bit more of, and I would say I need to look into it too, is TRPC. And I know that we've touched on it briefly, but it seems like it's getting to be more popular, at least among the early adopters who are into that. So if you like TypeScript, if you like type safety, if you've used GraphQL before, it seems like TRPC might be another new contender where it's a little bit less boilerplate, but it still gives you that kind of TypeScript feel to it. So, it might be one worth actually looking into, even if you don't do anything too big with it, just to have an idea of what it is and how it works.
Yeah, it's like if REST isn't doing it for you because you got to go and manually make the type bindings, and GraphQL is like, whoa, that's a lot to learn, man. That's like a lot, Then TRPC is this beautiful mid step, which is kind of like, it's like kind of like REST, like what we use REST for generally, but it's very well typed and very easy to type, which is great. If we're interested, we should bring on Theo. He did the T3 stack, which is like Next.js plus TRPC. I'm trying to think if there's anything on there. He'd be fascinating, and yeah, that's cool. TRPC is neat. And if again, going back to the video stuff, I that one pretty good video that I did on it is blowing up over time, which is very weird. It's like started off really weak, and now it's like bang, 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 bang. Everybody's in TRPC. It's whoa, should do another. Yeah. VR. That would be my. A friend of mine lent me one of the new MetaQuest 2 headsets. Thing's really cool, man. It's really cool. It's so much better than the old Oculus stuff. It's very nice. Have you guys tried it at all?
No, I haven't yet. Not that one. I've tried, I think, one of the older Meta headsets, but not the newest one.
Yeah, same here. I've got one of the older ones. I don't have the new one, and it's cool to try, but I found that it didn't hook me. Like it was, I loved trying it and using it, and I played with it for a few days, and then now it kind of sits on the shelf because I don't know. I find it's a big hassle to dig it out and put it on. And the thing, I can only use it for like 30 minutes at a time because then my head starts to hurt. I start to get nauseous. So like getting it out and dealing with it and then just using it for like 30 minutes is just a big deal. So I liked it. I'm glad I got it and I tried it out, but I don't use it day to day anymore.
It's missing its killer app.
Yeah.
So let's go make it. Somebody should go learn VR and make it.
I've heard the fitness apps in VR are quite good. So it'd be interesting to try that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that you can visit
the whole point
anywhere in the world too, which is kind of cool. Or a lot of places in the world. Probably not anywhere yet, but a lot of places.
I just can't imagine like sweating into my headset. Downward dog and you're just, oh my God. What?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. Fitness is a good thing, though. Take that up in 2023.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other picks? Any other hot takes? Do we got anything before we move on to our own picks?
No, I think we're good. This is fun.
All right.
Yeah, I'd be interested to revisit this or write some of these down and come back towards the end of the year and see what actually transpired.
Cool.
Hey, this is Charles Max Wood. I just wanted to talk really briefly about the Top End Devs membership and let you know what we've got coming up this month. So in February, we have a whole bunch of workshops that we're providing to members. You can go sign up at topenddevs.com/sign up. If you do, you're going to get access to our book club. We're reading Docker Deep Dive, and we're going to be going into Docker and how to use it and things like that. We also have workshops on the following topics, and I'm just going to dive in and talk about what they are real quick. First, it's how to negotiate a raise. I've talked to a lot of people that they're not necessarily keen on leaving their job, but at the same time, they also want to make more money. And so we're going to talk about the different ways that you can approach talking to your boss or HR or whoever about getting that raise that you want and having it support the lifestyle you want. That one's going to be on February 7th. February 9th, we're going to have a Career Freedom Mastermind. Basically, you show up, you talk about what's holding you back, what you dream about doing in your career, all of that kind of stuff. And then we're going to actually brainstorm together, you and whoever else is there, and I, all of us are going to brainstorm on how you can get ahead. The next week on the 14th, we're going to talk about how to grow from junior developer to senior developer, the kinds of things you need to be doing, how to do them, that kind of a thing. On the 16th, we're going to do a Visual Studio or VS Code tips and tricks. On the 21st, we're going to talk about how to build a software course. And on the 23rd, we're going to talk about how to go freelance. And then finally, on February 28th, we're going to talk about how to set up a YouTube channel. So those are the meetups that we're going to have along with the book club. And I hope to see you there. That's going to be at topenddevs.com/sign up.
Well, then why don't we head into our picks? And Jack, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm one of those people who really, I think a lot of us are, kind of beats myself up for not making the best use of my time and feeling like I'm never as productive as I should be and all that. And I was turned on to a book called 4,000 Weeks. And it's basically a productivity geek's take on how no productivity stuff works. And honestly, you're beating yourself up for the wrong reasons because we've created this culture of busy, and there's no way that you can ever win that game. If you become the person who's hyper efficient, and I've done this, you get on top of everything, your inbox zero, and then people sort of notice, and they just give you more work, and it never ends. It's like this never ending cycle. And so it's been an interesting read in like how to kind of deprogram myself and give myself a break from trying to just relentlessly do the rat race and try and figure out what's important to me and spend my time on that.
Excellent.
Nice.
Paige, picks?
Yeah, so my pick this week is going to actually be something that I got my husband for Christmas. And if you've been listening for any length of time, you know that I am a big proponent of the adjustable desks. I love that you can, get them to stand up, sit down, even if you're not doing it for a certain length of time. Just being able to switch positions while you're working is really nice to me. So over Christmas, I found a standing or adjustable desk that was under $200 from Amazon.
Really?
So it's called the Gear adjustable standing desk, because I already have one, but my husband didn't have one for his office. So I bought it. We assembled it. It took, I don't know, an hour maybe to assemble because there's a bunch of parts. But after that, it works like a charm. So if you're looking for one and you are not ready to invest in the uplift desk, which are very nice, but also quite pricey, I would definitely say check out what Amazon has, because they have a lot more options than there used to be just in general. And I would definitely recommend this one for anybody who's looking for a nice entry point that's not too expensive, but is also, you don't have to hand crank it or anything like that. It's
right. And you put your own top on it? Because that's cool.
No, it actually comes with a top. Yeah, all this stuff is included, the legs, the motor, everything. You just put it all together. We had got one with the black top, but there's one that comes with, different colors of wood or what looks like wood. So there's some different options of sizes and finishes and stuff like that, but pretty good.
I'm a little bit jealous because I've got an adjustable desk, but mine is about a decade old at this point. So it is like this behemoth, right? It's got this, like the tech for this has come a long ways in the last decade, because my wife has one that it's just so much more seamless in terms of how it moves. Mine sounds like a jet engine is taking off when it goes up. But the thing is, once I have it in here, this thing is massive, and like disposing of it just sounds awful, right? And it does work, right? Like I don't want to just get rid of something that totally works either.
Right.
So,
well, if you ever do decide to upgrade,
yeah,
check out what's available now.
Yeah. And the other thing, you get into this whole weird area of the underside organization tools. So if you want to get like the absolutely clean surface, and also adjustable, then you got to make sure that everything is like anti-gravity. You know, like there's like these pans you can get and other things. You can organize
little wire baskets for cords, and that did become part of his problem as he was setting it up, was how to organize all the cords
underneath, right?
Yeah,
because those bricks are heavy. You know, the transformer bricks, and there's so many of them. There's like there's one for your screen and one for the other screen. Has one. Everything's got a freaking brick.
And you got to be careful too, because one thing that's messed me up a few times is all your cords have to be long enough that they can extend into like a full stand.
Yep.
And as someone who stands kind of tall, that becomes even more of an issue because the desk has got to get way up there. So, and when all your cords have to make it up that high, then good luck efficiently packaging them down below. I've sort of given up on it.
What I do is I mount a power strip underneath the desk, and then everything goes into the power strip. And then, there's got the one power strip cord going to the power.
I need to have you over, Jack. I gotta
reorganize.
Got a task.
When I retire from coding, I'll be the what is it, Condon or something like that?
Recondo.
Of computer desks.
I'd watch that YouTube series.
That would be fun, actually. Yeah.
All right. My pick for this week, kind of boring, but AirPods Pro. I got those for Christmas, and they're just the in-ear ones. And I think what has impressed me the most is how good the noise cancellation is for something that just goes in your ear. Because I was used to that only being available. I never liked the over-the-ear headphones. It's just, for whatever reason, they bother me. So I love the initial AirPods, but I hadn't tried the ones that have noise canceling in it. And I've just been impressed that it's, for something that's a tiny little thing in your ear, it works shockingly good. So
it makes such a difference on flights. You'll have to try that at some point, but it really drowns out a whole lot of the engine and babies crying and all the stuff that typically comes along with a regular flight.
That was actually the main driver behind it, because for the most part, I don't use noise cancellation. It's not very frequent so I was fine with my original AirPods, but on a plane, man, it's just there's so much noise and you just can't get rid of it. So,
question for you. So how much gear do you have? How much Apple gear do you have? What do you have?
Oh, way too much.
Do you have an iPhone?
I've got an iPhone.
You have a Apple Watch?
Apple Watch.
Okay, cool. So you can get these stands, and I'll put a link. It's like $20 for a stand. Like, it charges everything. Charges the phone, charges the watch, charges your AirPods. And so you kind of you just take all that stuff off, put it next to where you put your wallet or your purse or whatever, and you're done. Everything charges.
Yeah, that would be nice for traveling, as I've discovered, because I don't know. I'm fine with my separate cords because I've got them all set up at the house, but it'd be nice to have just one thing to grab, because traveling's always oh God, especially now with a full family, you go to travel and it's just we have to bring enough stuff to charge 57. Yes. The modern family travels with just this just absolute ridiculous number of electronics. Yeah.
Right.
And every cord known to God.
Yes. Thank goodness they're finally the EU is nope, nothing but USB-C. We're done. Yeah.
I'm moving towards that.
I'm still waiting for my first hotel to have a USB-C port. Because I feel you can always find the regular USB, they're always in the clocks or the desks or whatever nowadays. But never see. I don't know. Well, waiting for the day.
Yeah.
But sometimes the clocks don't have enough amperage to actually charge anything. They just weak or something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Mess.
It's very.
You gotta bring your own stuff.
It's very random. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. This was a fun chat. I think we definitely accurately predicted the future.
Absolutely 100%.
You follow our advice, nothing can go wrong. Bet everything on Svelte, start your new AI startup, get out of crypto. What other advice did we have? Get into CI/CD. Yeah. Excellent. Any last words for our viewers before we wrap it up?
Hope you have a great start to your 2023.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Be safe, be kind, all that.
All right. Happy New Year. See everybody next week.
See ya.
Bandwidth for this segment is provided by CacheFly, the world's fastest CDN. Deliver your content fast with CacheFly. Visit CACHEFLY.com to learn more.